It now becomes the duty of the court to impose sentence in this case, and that is to see that this defendant never again has the opportunity to walk the streets of our community as a free man.
Hello, my name is Paco Rivera, and this is the Maximum Sentence channel, where we discuss recent crimes and convictions and a maximum penalty handed down. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates and more. There will be a link for my Facebook in the description below. By March of the year 2023, Hailey Briana Nieto was 18 years old, living in Reno, Nevada, where she was born and raised. Despite her young age, she already had two daughters. One was a 2-year-old named Luna, and the other a 9-month-old named Mila. Throughout this story, there's no mention of the girl's father in her life, so it appears that she was a single mom doing it all on her own. Hailey loved taking her two baby girls to the park to see the ducks, and they would go on the swings. Hailey was studying to be a mortician and was hoping to someday find work at the Mountain View Mortuary in Reno, Nevada. She loved doing art. Here you can see where Hailey's mom, April Nieto, is holding out two pieces of artwork done by Hailey. Hailey also loved doing makeup. She enjoyed fashion. She loved music, camping, and visiting Hawaii and Lake Tahoe in the summer when she was on vacation. She was said to be empathetic. For instance, she would go to cemeteries and read what was shown on gravestones to experience what others had felt about a departed loved one, and to show her respect to total strangers that were buried there. Todd Wayne Tonnochy had been considered a habitual criminal most of his life, a violent and dangerous individual. He grew up in South San Francisco, where, along with many of his childhood friends, he was involved with street gangs, doing drugs and committing violent crimes. At one point, he was approached by authorities and offered sweet deals, keeping him out of jail by snitching on the childhood friends that he grew up with. He accepted the deal and then got the heck out of San Francisco, but later joined another gang in the Concord, California area and continued his criminal activities there. He later settled in Reno, Nevada, and there was nothing stopping him from burglary, selling drugs, assaults, and other crimes each time he was released from a jail in Reno. Tonnochy was arrested for a slew of charges, once again in Reno, in January of the year 2020, and released about a year later. There's the possibility that the COVID pandemic had something to do with his early release. It was during that time, sometime between 2020 and 2021, that Tonnochy began corresponding with Hailey Nieto. How he found her or how she found him in jail is not clear in the reports, but that's how they met while he was doing time in jail, kind of like pen pals. Tonnochy also had access to the prison telephone system, so they were likely also having conversations from phone calls. After Tonnochy was released, he and Hailey managed to link up with each other and were apparently involved in some kind of relationship. By this time, Hailey is about 17 years old and Tonnochy is almost 40. Hailey did have one daughter by this time, and Hailey ended up giving birth to another daughter during the time that she was hanging out with Tonnochy. But it's not clear in the reports if Tonnochy is the father or someone else. Todd Tonnochy was arrested once again by U.S. Marshals for parole violations on November 15, 2022, and released 2 months later on January 27, 2023. As it turns out, things had boiled over during the time Tonnochy was in jail, and he began sending extremely threatening communications to Hailey, as it appears that Hailey was doing her best to ignore him. Tonnochy kept trying to contact Hailey during his 2 months in jail, but wasn't able to, and this absolutely infuriated him. He was in a vicious rage over her never being home, never answering her phone, and he was in a jealous rage thinking that she was with another man. He would leave those extremely threatening messages for Hailey from the prison's phone system that was recorded, but nobody from the prison ever bothered to look at it, report it, or do anything about it. That's a whole other story. The family of the victim in this case right now is currently suing the prison system or the company that manages the phone system for the prison for their failure to report those threatening communications from Tonnochy. Anyway, in those communications, Tonnochy made statements to the effect of, if she's not home by a certain time or if she doesn't answer his calls, that he is going to beat her, kill her, and do serious harm to her 2 daughters. Here's the exact wording from the recorded communications transcript. I swear on the soul of my dead baby sister, may she burn in hell if I lie. If you ain't home tonight by the time I call and you don't answer, then I'm walking away from you for good. I don't care what excuse you got. I won't accept no request. Nothing. I'm done. Also, if I ever see you, and anytime I do, I will beat the dog S out of you. And whoever you with will get it, including L and M. We know L and M to be Hailey's daughters, Luna and Mila. They will get it too. I ain't playing even a little. Whoever is around you will get it, including them. S word, especially them. I don't give a F. Especially them, Tonnochy says. Especially the children, Luna and Mila. Now, it's not clear what exactly was going through Hailey's mind when Tonnochy was released from jail. I know it might be difficult for a lot of you out there to have sympathy for someone that makes extremely bad decisions in her life. Remember that Hailey was still practically a teenager. She was 18 years old. She was terrified of Tonnochy, and she might have strongly believed that he would kill her children if she didn't do what he says. She was completely and totally under his control and possibly believed that there was no escape. Sure, a lot of us know that there is help out there for these type of situations. There are steps one can take to avoid the problems that she had, but a girl her age probably didn't know these things. After Tonnochy was released from jail in January of 2023, she linked up with him again, even following those threatening communications that she had received. She even rented a room at the Siegel Suites Nevada apartment building in Reno in her name, where she paid by the week, a building that also kind of operates like a hotel. And Tonnochy began trafficking Hailey to other men for money. Only about a couple months later, after his release, on March 10th, 2023, both Tonnochy and Hailey were pulled over by Reno police for operating a stolen car, and there was meth and other drugs in the car that the officer reported seeing Hailey stuffing into her bra. After Tonnochy claimed that he didn't know anything about the drugs in the car, only Hailey was arrested. And even though the car was reported stolen and Tonnochy was driving it, he was not arrested. Not for that crime anyway. Hailey was held for a short time in jail and released with an order to appear in court later that month of March. But she would never make it to court. Much of what we know about what happened on March 21st, 2023, just a couple weeks after the incident with the stolen car and drugs and her arrest and release from jail, comes from surveillance cameras at the Siegel Suites Nevada building and some witnesses. On that day, a hallway camera captured Todd Tonnochy, Hailey Nieto, and another man, a friend of Tonnochy's named Daniel Graham, going into room 517. A short time later, a gunshot is heard, and the friend, Daniel Graham, is seen running out of the apartment immediately afterward, yelling loudly, "Oh my God!" Then, for about another day or two, the camera captured Tonnochy entering and exiting the room several times, along with several other men. The men are then seen loading baggage and luggage onto a hotel luggage cart and rolling it out of the building. One of the items on that luggage cart was a duffel bag. 2 days after Hailey Nieto was observed on surveillance cameras going into that room, on March 23rd, that duffel bag was discovered beside some railroad tracks in Cold Springs, Nevada, an area just outside of Reno. Inside the bag were the dismembered remains of Hailey Nieto. It is where Todd Tonnochy dumped her remains after cutting her to pieces inside that room at the Siegel Suites. The medical examiner was able to conclude that Hailey had been shot in the head. By the way, the friend who was present, Daniel Graham, who ran out of the room yelling, "Oh my God," would later say that he got the hell out of there because there was a warrant for his arrest for a parole violation, and he didn't want to be around to answer questions if authorities got wind of what happened there. After investigators identified the body, the remains, they followed leads that took them to the Siegel Suites, and after reviewing the surveillance camera footage, they had a pretty good idea of who the perpetrator was. Someone that they were all very familiar with. But Todd Tonnochy had vanished. One guy who was questioned during the investigation said that he helped Tonnochy get a car, and Tonnochy drove off. But Tonnochy made a big mistake. He took Hailey Nieto's cell phone with him. Thank God these criminals are still stupid enough to flee with a cell phone. They might as well just leave a trail of breadcrumbs all the way to wherever they were going. Reno authorities alerted U.S. Marshals on March 27th to find Tonnochy. Hailey's cell phone was tracked across the country, heading down into Texas. On the following day, March 28th, Todd Tonnochy was arrested in a Midland, Texas motel room. After Tonnochy was extradited back to Nevada, and while awaiting trial in jail, he was once again on the phone communicating with witnesses that he knew were going to testify against him. It was learned that he tried bribing and threatening several of them. I'm guessing he might have also tried communicating with Hailey's mother, April Nieto, and threatening the family, because there's a record of her taking out a protection order against Tonnochy on July 3rd, 2023, to prevent those communications. The case went to trial in August of last year, 2024, and Tonnochy had a story about what happened, because they always have a story, don't they? He said that he was cleaning out his gun or playing with his gun, and it went off accidentally, with a bullet striking Hailey. Yeah, an accidental shot right to the head. Right? Tonnochy was found guilty that month of August, but not of first-degree murder, which is what the family and most people had hoped for. It appears jurors weren't convinced the shooting was planned or intentional, and he was convicted of second-degree murder.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter, find the defendant, Todd Wayne Tonnochy, not guilty of count 1, first-degree murder of Hailey Nieto, dated this 28th day of August, 2024. Verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter, find the defendant, Todd Wayne Tonnochy, guilty of count 1, second-degree murder of Hailey Nieto.
I don't usually offer my own personal opinions on these matters, but my guess is that jurors probably weren't too happy with the very poor choices that Hailey made, and that she didn't do anything to get herself out of the situation that she was in. 4 months later, on December 2nd of last year, 2024, a couple months ago, Tonnochy was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 10 years. But the judge wasn't ready to leave it at that, because Tonnochy was found guilty of multiple other charges: destroying evidence, possession of a deadly weapon, attempting to bribe and intimidate witnesses, trying to dissuade witnesses from testifying. And the sentences the judge imposed, the prison time, will run consecutively, one after the other, making it likely that Tonnochy will spend the rest of his life in prison. The judge in Reno had issued the following words to Todd Tonnochy: "It is my intention you die in prison."
That was the reaction from the victim's family of the maximum sentences Judge Freeman gave Tonnochy.
As I did with the last video I uploaded to this channel, I'm going to share with you that there is a GoFundMe account to help with the support of Hailey Nieto's two beautiful and precious little daughters, Luna and Mila, now left without a mom to take care of them. You can find a link to the GoFundMe page in the description below if you would like to contribute. Please remember to hit the subscribe button for more of these true crime stories so that you're alerted when the next one comes out. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. My name is Paco Rivera. Thank you for watching. Take care and bye for now.
I just never thought something like this could happen to my family. Like, even the judge said this is one of the most gruesome cases he's seen in his 40 years. That is insane. And I'm just glad this monster's gone.